ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Hello students, now we are in the discussion about the three families, the comparison of three families. Which are the three families? Fabaceae, Solanaceae as well as Liliaceae. So we are in the discussion about comparison between the three families. Comparison is here, it's important. So for the last class we studied about morphological characters. What are they? Vegetable characters. What are they? Root, stem, leaf. So we have seen in what way they are similar, in what way they are different. Then we started with floral characteristics. For floral characteristics comparison is very important. So we discussed about calyx of all three, corolla of all three, androecium as well as gynoecium. When we discussed in that, for example, if you look at here, flower part, if you look at, this is zygomorphic. Fabaceae is zygomorphic, but remaining Solanaceae and Liliaceae are actinomorphic. So if at all the question comes from Fabaceae because this is different, this is zygomorphic, right? Similarly, descendingly imbricate aestivation, vexillary aestivation, it's alone the characteristic feature of Fabaceae that was not found in case of Solanaceae and Liliaceae. So such type of points are very important. So altogether comparison is very important. So let us continue with the comparison. So for the last class, after we discussed the floral characteristics, we studied about pollination, entomophilous cross pollination. It's common among all three. Common point generally we don't stress much, but difference is self-pollination observed in case of Fabaceae and that was not there in case of Solanaceae and Liliaceae. So after pollination what happens? Pollen grain get transferred from the anther to the stigma. So here when you take here, so for the last class we studied about a pollination. So when you take the pollination here, this is nothing but anther. So from anther what we get is nothing but a pollen grain. Now the pollen grain will come and fall on the surface of the stigma. So this is pollen grain and it is fallen on the surface of stigma. So what happens here? The pollen grain forms the tube like structure. This is called pollen tube. This is called pollen tube. Don't worry, we are going to study this concept in the coming chapter very in detail, but here you have to understand how pollen grain will enter inside. So remember, with the help of pollen tube. Then, so this comes here, then now this is nothing but the ovary. Now pollen grain through pollen tube reaches to the ovary, fertilizes with the egg. So pollen grain fuses with the egg. As a result, it forms what is called as zygote. Now slowly zygote develops into embryo and embryo develops into a seed and seed develops into fruit. So what is the next thing we have to study? Fruit. So let us make a clear difference of fruit of Fabaceae, Solanaceae and Liliaceae. Okay, I hope you have understood this part. You all know it very well. This is anther. Anther itself is also called as androecium. This is gynoecium, pistil or carpel we call. Generally what happens? The pollen grain released out here from the anther, pollen grain is released out and through air or through water or through like insect, entomophilous cross pollination we studied for the last class. What is that? Insect pollination. Insect pollination means insects generally they visit from one flower to other flower, maybe for the sake of nectar and all that. Unknowingly the legs carry the pollen grain and when it is sucking for the nectar within the flower, the pollen grains fall on the surface of the flower. At that time insects helps in transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma and this is what is called as pollination. So for the last class we studied about pollination, that is entomophilous cross pollination, meaning insect pollination. Insects are involved in transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma. Right. So when pollen grain falls here, how do you think it enter inside? With the help of pollen tube. It enters inside and here pollen grain fuses with the egg. Pollen grain fuses with the egg. As a result it forms zygote. Then zygote, slowly it will undergo some changes. Zygote develops into embryo. Embryo further develops into seed and seed develops into fruit. So what else you studied in morphology? Did you remember? After fertilization, we discussed this in morphology. So these all are nothing but supporting points for us to understand the concept. What happens after fertilization? Ovules develops into seeds. What is the thing we studied? What is the thing we studied? After fertilization, ovules develops into seeds. What about the ovary? Ovary develops into fruit. Right? So at the end of morphology, we discussed very clearly after fertilization. What is the meaning of fertilization? Fusion of male and female, it's called fertilization. So here pollen grain represents male gamete, egg represent female gamete here. So what you write here? Fusion of male and female, it's called fertilization. It's called as what? Fertilization. What is fertilization? Fusion of male and female, it's called fertilization. So here there is a fusion of pollen grain and egg. There is a fusion of pollen grain and egg. Both of them fuse together and forms the structure called as zygote. Zygote will undergo some changes, develops into embryo. Zygote develops into embryo. Embryo develops into seed. Seed develops into fruit. But here the first thing is after fertilization, the ovary has ovules. Ovules develops into seeds and the ovary develop into fruit. Now, so when we make out the clear difference here, fertilization part is very important. Sometimes the fertilization may happen within the same flower. Maybe the flower may be a bisexual flower. Right. But here what I have drawn, it's bisexual flower. If at all the transfer of pollen grain happens from anther to stigma of the same flower. Same flower means bisexual flower. Bi means both are present. Anther is present, gynoecium is present. Both are present. Then it is called bisexual flower. Then you know in lower classes this is referred as self-pollination. So this is referred as what? Self-pollination. So for the last class, for the Fabaceae, we have written Arachis hypogea, Pisum, right? Lathyrus. So if you take in that, what occurs is nothing but self-pollination. Why? Pisum sativum. Last class we studied example, Pisum sativum. Most commonly studied example is Pisum sativum. It's commonly called as pea plant. Now in this pea plant, what you find? There is occurrence of bisexual flower. Bisexual flower means androecium is present, gynoecium is also present. So a transfer of pollen grain happens from androecium to gynoecium within the same flower, that is referred as self-pollination. So for the last class, self-pollination we studied for Fabaceae. Right. So for the last class, self-pollination we studied for Fabaceae. In some members of Fabaceae we find self-pollination. In rest all what we find? Entomophilous cross pollination. So what is cross pollination? This is a case about bisexual flower. What you find here? Androecium. This means this is male flower. Let us imagine two different plants. So this, let us take, this is one completely a different plant. This is one plant and this is completely another plant. A plant which contains only male flowers, it is called male plant. It produces only anthers, androecium, stamens. So this plant has ability to produce only male flowers. Another plant which has ability to produce all will be female flowers. So it contains gynoecium, or we call, this is gynoecium, or we call pistil, or we call carpel. So what you find here? Female flower, it contains gynoecium, itself is called pistil or itself is called carpel. What do you call about male flower? You know that it is called androecium, itself is called stamens, or itself is called as anther. So here when plant contains only male flowers, it is called male parent or male plant. The other plant which is somewhere with far distance, it produces only female flowers. It contains gynoecium, pistil or carpel. So it contains only female flowers. So here whenever there is a transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of female flower of different plants, then it is called as cross pollination. What do we call? Then it is called cross pollination. That means cross pollination occurs in unisexual flowers. Cross pollination occurs in unisexual flowers. So what I expect you to remember, generally in bisexual flowers, what occurs is self-pollination. This we saw in some members of Fabaceae, Pisum and Lathyrus, right? And generally bisexual flowers, most preferably they undergo self-pollination. And if you take unisexual flowers, maybe one plant produces male flowers, another plant which is somewhere at far distance produces female flowers. Then this is a unisexual flower. This is also unisexual flower containing plant. The transfer of pollen grain happens from a unisexual male flower to female flower, then this is called cross pollination. So do remember, cross pollination generally occurs in unisexual flowers. But you know, does you think, then let me ask you a simple question. Does you think always a bisexual flowers, do you think they undergo self-pollination? Yes or no? Definitely no, not always, right? Why? Because last class we studied protandrous condition, protogynous condition. So when you take the condition called as a bisexual flowers, if androecium and gynoecium both develops, matures at a time, then there is a possibility of undergoing self-pollination. But in some cases, in bisexual flowers, we find two conditions, protandrous and protogynous. What is my question? Does you think all bisexual flowers always undergo self-pollination? If this statement is given, you have to take it as false statement. Why? Because all bisexual flowers may not undergo self-pollination. If at all the statement, I repeat, all bisexual flowers undergo self-pollination is a false statement. Why? Because some bisexual flowers undergo some self-pollination, and some bisexual flowers they also possibility of undergoing cross-pollination. So here bisexual flowers may not undergo always self-pollination. In some bisexual flowers, the even possibility of undergoing cross-pollination. Then immediately question arises, when androecium and gynoecium both are present, why they can't undergo self-pollination, and where is the chance to undergo cross-pollination? Then if that is a question, already I told you for the last class, even though they are bisexual flowers, but the two conditions, what is first condition? Protandrous, and second condition protogynous. These conditions, if they exist in a bisexual flower, then preferably they undergo cross pollination. Even though they are bisexual, but don't close your eyes blindly, they undergo self pollination. All may not undergo self pollination. Very, very important to remember. Some bisexual flowers they undergo cross pollination. How bisexual flowers? Some of them are protandrous and some of them are protogynous. So what is the meaning of protandrous here? Protandrous meaning here, I told you, no, proto means first, androus means androecium. Androecium develops, matures earlier than gynoecium. So gynoecium still in bud condition. So here androecium develops, matures earlier than, develops first. Androecium develops first and matures earlier than gynoecium. So G is nothing but gynoecium. Gynoecium still in bud condition, still exists in the form of a bud. Then what happens at the time? The pollen grains may be carried by the insect to some other flower of some other plant. Then what occurs here is nothing but what? Cross pollination. Similarly, if you take another flower, proto means first, gynoecium. So here in this case gynoecium develops first. Gynoecium develops first. That means if you look at the flower, so in this case you find gynoecium is fully developed but anther is in still bud condition. So gynoecium is matures, proto means first, gynoecium. First gynoecium develops, matures earlier than androecium. Gynoecium develops first completely, but androecium, if you look at the condition of androecium, still it is bud condition. Still it is bud condition. Androecium still it is bud condition. So the condition is said to be protogynous. So even though protandrous is also bisexual, both are present, androecium is present, gynoecium is present. Protogynous means both are present, androecium is present, gynoecium is present. But still here they are not undergoing self-pollination, they are undergoing cross-pollination. So these things important to keep it in your mind. Now let's come back to again. So what happens? I'll just quickly let you know. In generally, for the last class we studied pollination. Transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma, it's called pollination. In case of Fabaceae, Solanaceae, Liliaceae, what occurs is entomophilous cross pollination. Entomophilous means insect pollination. Insects are involved in carrying the pollen grain from anther to stigma, right? So when you take in this case here, when pollen grain falls on the surface of the stigma, pollen grain reaches with the help of pollen tube here. Through pollen tube it enters inside the ovary, and here pollen grain combines with the egg. and it leads to fusion itself is called fertilization. So when pollen grain enters here, fuses with the egg and leads to formation of zygote. The fusion of male and female, it's called fertilization. Now zygote develops into embryo, embryo develops into seed, seed develops into what is called fruit. Now we will discuss about the difference of the fruit, what type of fruit in Fabaceae, what type of fruit in Solanaceae, and what type of fruit in case of Liliaceae. But generally after fertilization you have to remember ovules develops into seeds and the ovary develops into fruit, right. Now but here suppose if we talk about this is a bisexual flower, then mostly what occurs is self-pollination. Self-pollination we observed in case of Fabaceae but not in Solanaceae and not in Liliaceae, right. That means here if you look at bisexual flowers mostly undergo self-pollination. Then immediately the question arises, because you will get questions as it NCERT lines are very important. NCERT lines are very important. You may be small twisting in the line, the entire statement will be wrong even though the statement as it is appears from NCERT. So thus if you get the statement all bisexual flowers undergo self-pollination means it's a wrong statement. All bisexual flowers may not undergo self-pollination is a right statement. What is the reason for this? Because we have assertion and reason questions, no? Because in some of the bisexual flowers we may find the conditions like protandrous, or some flowers we find protogynous. Protandrous, prot means first, androus means androecium. So here androecium develops, matures first earlier than gynoecium. No doubt bisexual, but still gynoecium is in bud condition, so no chance to undergo self-pollination. So it preferably undergo cross-pollination. Similarly, we have the condition like protogynous, where the gynoecium develops, matures earlier than androecium. So when you take here androecium, what happens? The gynoecium is developing first, so we call protogynous, means gynoecium completely developed but androecium is in bud condition, so no chance to undergo self-pollination. So it preferably awaits to receive pollen grain from other flower, so preferably it undergo what is called cross-pollination. So all bisexual flowers may not undergo self-pollination. Some bisexual flowers preferably undergo cross-pollination because maybe protandrous condition or maybe due to protogynous condition. This is about bisexual flowers. Coming to unisexual flowers, when you take unisexual flowers, most preferably unisexual flowers undergo cross-pollination. So in lower classes you studied, you know well difference between a self and cross-pollination difference. Here there is a transfer of pollen grain from androecium, from stamens, anther of one plant, of one flower which we call male flower, to the stigma of female flower of another plant itself is called as cross-pollination. If insect is involved, it is called entomophilous cross-pollination. So this is unisexual flower and this is also unisexual flower. Here only male flowers are there in the entire plant. Here whatever the flowers you get from this plant, all will be female flowers. So here in unisexual flowers most commonly we find undergoing cross-pollination. So these basics you have to keep it in your mind. Then let's come back to the comparison table of Fabaceae, Solanaceae and Liliaceae. So what we have to study here, we just have completed pollination. Now zygote is, as a result of pollination, zygote is produced. Embryo is produced, embryo develops into seed and fruit. So what we have to discuss now? Fruit we have to discuss, and inside the fruit what is produced here is seeds, where ovules develops into seeds, ovary develops into fruit. Now these two things let us compare with all three families. Let us continue our discussion. Right. So once you understood about what we discussed here, bisexual flowers we discussed, here unisexual flowers we discussed, here what we discussed just now, protogynous, protandrous conditions. Now once you understood the basics here, now let us continue with the fruit discussion. Now what is the type of fruit we find produced in case of Fabaceae? So in morphology we already have studied. I told you morphology is related with each and every chapter. So what we studied in Pisum sativum pea plant, what type of fruit is present, in Dolichos what type of fruit is present, marginal placentation occurs where. So these all examples belong to Fabaceae. So what is the type of fruit we find in Fabaceae? What is that we call? Legume. Legume, or itself we call this as pod. Legume or pod. And another important character, geocarpic. What is the meaning of geocarpic? Geocarpic, the meaning is geo means soil. Carpic means here carpel undergoes fertilization and develops seed inside the soil. So here what is the meaning of geocarpic here? The formation of fruit occurs inside the soil. Very important. Why? Solanaceae you will not find geocarpic condition. Geocarpic condition is absent in Solanaceae. Geocarpic condition is absent in Liliaceae. Geocarpic condition observed only in case of Fabaceae. Why? Because here the formation of fruit occurs inside the soil. So what is the best example? In Fabaceae, try to remember, geocarpic condition exists. What is meant by geocarpic condition? Better you can write down geocarpy. That means here the fruit formation is observed inside the soil. So here the fruit is indehiscent. The fruit is indehiscent. So for both examples, both means here geocarpy, indehiscent, fruit is indehiscent. Guys, in morphology we studied fruits are divided into dry dehiscent, dry indehiscent. Did you remember? Dry fruits are divided into dry dehiscent, dry indehiscent. You remember all other categories, isocarpic and all that, right? Legume, capsule, porous. We discussed all different categories at the end of morphology. Fruit part is very important for the final need, right? I told you. So make sure that you keep revise morphology. Now the fruit is said to be indehiscent. Meaning what? What is the meaning of indehiscent? The fruit wall cannot dehisce. The fruit wall cannot dehisce, right? Indehiscent we say. Now for both of them, geocarpy as well as indehiscent fruit, the best example is, I am writing the example here, the example is Arachis hypogea. Arachis hypogea, we find groundnut. In groundnut, where there is a development of groundnut inside the soil. I hope now you got the clarity what exactly meaning of geocarpy after looking the example, right? Because now you all can imagine, because groundnut is produced inside the soil, somewhere at the depth of the soil groundnut is produced. We uproot the root and we try to take the groundnut, right? So that is why it's meant by geocarpy, meaning the formation of fruit occurs inside the soil. Inside the soil, the formation of the fruit occurs. The best example, Arachis hypogea, that is groundnut. Groundnut we find growing inside the soil. That condition is called geocarpy, observed only in Fabaceae, absent in Solanaceae and Liliaceae. Similarly, the fruit is indehiscent. Indehiscent means outer wall. You know, dry fruits we classified into dry dehiscent, dry indehiscent. Even for the indehiscent also the example is same, Arachis hypogea. So what are the conditions of fruit? Legume or pod. So you can write what not, all examples, Pisum sativum, pea plant, Dolichos labella, beans, these all will come, but important condition is geocarpy and the fruit is indehiscent. Coming to Solanaceae. Now if you take Solanaceae, it is berry or capsule. In some members of Solanaceae, the fruit is berry. In some members of Solanaceae, the fruit is capsule. So, in some members of Solanaceae plants, the type of fruit is berry fruit. In some members of Solanaceae, the type of fruit is capsule. So, berry where do you find? So, letter berry is found in the members of plant Solanum, capsicum and Lycopersicum. Okay. So here if you take Solanum, you know, capsicum means chili, we get chili. You know, Lycopersicum esculentum, what is the common name for this? Tomato, right? Generally in the members of Solanaceae, you know, bilocular. Generally it is bilocular, exceptionally unilocular. So one more important note point I will give you here, just make a note of it. Solanaceae members, note point, mostly bilocular. Bilocular. So we write no monocarpellary, bicarpellary, tricarpellary, where at the time of gynoecium. Did you all remember? So for Fabaceae we have written monocarpellary, Solanaceae we have written bicarpellary, bilocular, Liliaceae we have written tricarpellary, trilocular. So generally the members of Solanaceae are bilocular and bicarpellary. Bilocular, bicarpellary. Bilocular means, locular means two chambers with ovules. Bicarpellary meaning two carpels are present. But exceptionally, so I will write here, but unilocular in case of chili. Very, very, very important. Very, very important. Note point, you just write down. Solanaceae members, mostly they are bilocular and bicarpellary, but exceptionally unilocular and monocarpellary where in case of chili. Very, very important. I repeat again, very, very important note point, just note down at one corner. What is that very important point you have to remember? Fabaceae means monocarpellary, unilocular. Solanaceae means bicarpellary, bilocular. And Liliaceae means tricarpellary, trilocular. But what is the important note point to be noted down? Most of the Solanaceae members, mostly they are bilocular, bicarpellary, meaning two carpels are present and two locules are present. But exceptionally, only in case of chili, what you find? Exceptionally unilocular. Unilocular means only one chamber with one ovule. Unilocular in case of chili, that is monocarpellary. Remaining all members are bicarpellary and bilocular, but exceptionally, very very important, in case of chili it is unilocular and monocarpellary. So if you take berry, solanum, capsicum, lycopepsi. Capsicum means chili, unilocular, monocarpellary is important to remember, lycopepsicum tomato. Coming to capsule, capsule is found in case of Datura and Nicotiana. Datura and Nicotiana. So in some members of Solanaceae the type of fruit is berry, solanum, capsicum, lycopepsicum. In some members of Solanaceae the type of fruit is capsule. Where do you find is Datura and Nicotiana. Then coming to the Liliaceae fruit, usually capsule, mostly the type of fruit is capsule, and but berry in case of asparagus. But type of fruit is berry in case of asparagus, very very important. Usually it is capsule, and means most of the members it is capsule, but berry in case of asparagus. So make sure that you have to remember this. This is legume or pod, Geocarpi, and the fruit is indehiscent, example groundnut. And in case some are berry, some are capsule. Berry, solanum, capsicum, lycopepsicum, capsule is Datura, Nicotiana. And here fruit is usually capsule, but found berry, in rarely berry in case of where you find asparagus.